Welcome to the Fay Business Systems Group SugarCRM QuickBooks Integration webinar. My name is David Fay. There's a picture of me. I'm the CEO of Fay Business Systems Group, and we're really excited to be presenting this webinar to everybody today. Before we get into the demonstration of our Sugar QuickBooks integration, just want to give you a brief overview of our company, a little bit about Sugar, a little bit about Intuit, and then we'll get into it. Our company, Fay Business Systems Group, has been around for more than 25 years. We're a gold partner with Sugar. We're one of the leading providers of Sugar integrations. You may know us from our integrations with Sage 100, Mass 90, Intact, Vantage, as well as Constant Contact and Authorize.net. Our programming team is dedicated and in-house. We don't outsource any of that stuff, as well as our support and consulting team. Over the years, we've done hundreds of successful projects in the accounting and CRM software space. Some of our services include implementations of Sugar, training, data conversion, support, custom programming, software development. As I mentioned before, a big part of our business is developing these integrations for Sugar, and obviously we do a lot of special projects and come up with unique solutions in the Sugar area. Sugar themselves is the fastest growing CRM software company in the world. They were founded in April 2004, 6,000 plus customers all over the world. That translates to more than 600,000 users. There's more than 200 partners on 5 continents. Sugar is a global solution and is growing quite quickly, as we mentioned. Intuit and QuickBooks, everyone in the world knows Intuit and QuickBooks. They're the leading provider of accounting and ERP software to small and medium-sized businesses. They've been doing this for more than 30 years with more than 4 million customers worldwide. We're really excited to be integrating Sugar with QuickBooks. We think it's a great combination serving the small and mid-sized market space. Our integration itself, we tried to make it easy to use, easy to install, easy to configure, and as available as possible. So we designed it to work with QuickBooks Professional, QuickBooks Premier, Enterprise, and Online. It works with virtually all versions of Sugar, whether it's hosted in the on-demand environment, hosted on a server in-house, or hosted in a third party. The synchronization between the 2 packages works on a scheduler. The default is every 10 minutes, but you can set it to be different if you like. From an overview perspective, the integration does a few different things. It synchronizes customer data between Sugar and QuickBooks. It synchronizes inventory data between QuickBooks and Sugar, and the inventory items include inventory, non-inventory, and service items from QuickBooks. It takes QuickBooks sales history, including line item data and detail, and sends it into Sugar. And then it takes quotes and sales orders entered in Sugar and sends them into QuickBooks estimates or sales orders. In addition, you do have the ability to customize the mappings between the 2. So with no further ado, let's get into our demonstration. And to do that, I'm going to start showing you a few different aspects of this. So there's 3 different components to our Sugar QuickBooks integration. One is Sugar, which you can see here. 2 is QuickBooks, which you can see here. And then the 3rd component is the QuickBooks Web Connector, which you can see here. And this Web Connector gets installed on a computer where QuickBooks is. So we're going to start our demo back in Sugar, and I'm going to show you what gets installed when you install the integration. And when you install the integration, we're looking at the administration screen in Sugar right now. You installs 2 new things at the bottom of the administration menu. One is called QuickBooks Integration Configuration. The other is called QuickBooks and Sugar Field Mapping. Let's take a look at the configuration screen briefly. So after you install the integration, the first place you go is to this configuration screen, and you fill a few things out. First thing you do is you put in the integration product key that we give you, and after you enter that in, it comes up with when your key expires. Then you put in the URL of where your sugar is. Following that, you're almost home free. You download the QuickBooks Web Connector setup file, and that helps you install and configure the Web Connector that I just showed you. That's pretty much it for the installation and configuration. We tried to make it as painless as possible. We do have an operating manual that takes you step by step through the process. Once you've completed this screen, then you would go to the options screen. The options screen just has a few key things to select. One is, what is your master system? Do you want QuickBooks to be the master or Sugar? That just means which system trumps the other. So in this case, we want QuickBooks to be the master, which means address changes for customers in QuickBooks will override the addresses in Sugar. This one is, when you export quotes from Sugar, where do you want them to go in QuickBooks? You can choose sales orders or estimates. Let's choose sales orders. When you sync inventory items, do you want them to sync by their name? You can check that. And then lastly, here's the 4 different syncs that happen, and you can turn them on or off just by checking these boxes. So we'll leave them all on. I think that's it for the configuration. We've got some advanced functions and configuration here, but we can leave those for another day. So now let's go into our accounts in Sugar, and let's look at my favorite account, Christy Abercrombie. Now, you notice with Christy, there's all this name and address information and some notes down here. This all came straight from QuickBooks. In addition, there's more information over here. You can see there's a balance field, a year-to-date sales field, and a credit limit. Those all came from QuickBooks. And then there's a sales history subpanel. These are called subpanels down here, and this is all the detail that came from QuickBooks. And you'll see with all the sales history, it also has a paid flag here, an invoice total, a PO number, and some various dates. We'll get back to drilling down into the sales history in a minute, but first I just wanted to show you how this sync works. So you'll notice Christie's address is on Magic Johnson Parkway. Hopefully you're into basketball. If not, then this example won't do much for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into QuickBooks, and let's pull up Christy, and I want to edit Christy, and we're going to edit her address. And instead of Magic Johnson Parkway, let's be 123 Larry Bird Way. And of course, that's in Boston. And 124. So Christy is now on Larry Bird Way. And you'll see that we changed her address there. Now, ordinarily, every 10 minutes, the sync would run, but let's call this up and let's just run it manually, just so we know that this is going to happen faster. So while that's working, let's go back into Sugar. So back to our sales history. So if we wanted to look at an invoice here, this invoice number 1100 for $39,000, if I clicked on it, we get all kinds of invoice detail here, as well as the line items down below. So with regard to the invoice itself, we have a billing address, a shipping address, an invoice date, a due date, the PO number, terms, the sales tax rate, the subtotal of the order, sales tax, the total of the order, and then we have all the line items. So we see wood door exterior for $120. We see retainage for $5,000. We see custom cabinets for $1,000, etc. So this is really powerful stuff for a salesperson looking to do some research on an invoice. He does not have to have access to QuickBooks. He can just look here in Sugar. Let's look back at Christy here for a second. And look at that. Christy's address is now 123 Larry Bird Way. So that's how quickly the synchronization works. And it's pretty cool. The next area of synchronization I wanted to show you was related to inventory items. So if we go back to our admin screen and we scroll down to the product catalog in Sugar, which is where the inventory is, all these inventory items here in Sugar came in from QuickBooks. And you'll see there's a description, what the type of inventory, is it inventory, service, or non-inventory, quantity on hand, the cost, the list price, and the standard price. All this came directly in from Sugar. And as you'll see, if we take a look at the mapping screen, you have the ability to map fields from QuickBooks into different fields in Sugar. So this category field can be something, availability, all of this stuff can come in from QuickBooks. The last area really to show is entering quotes in Sugar. So let's enter in a quote for some cabinets. All right, and I'm going to say this is valid till the end of the year. This quote stage field is really important. If I don't say closed accepted, it won't go into QuickBooks. So closed accepted is what tells Sugar in our integration, yes, this really needs to go into QuickBooks. Anything else means it'll just stay in Sugar as a draft of a quote. So let's give it a purchase order number of 98765A, and let's enter this in for our favorite customer, Christy. There she is on Larry Bird Way. It's exciting. And now let's enter in a couple line items. So I'm going to start typing in cabinet, and here it is pulling this item in from QuickBooks, cabinet pulls. And let's do 5 of these. Okay. And now let's do find another cabinet in here. Let's do light pine for $17.99. That's some expensive cabinets right there. All right, let's do 2 of these pine. We like pine. So we have our subtotal, sales tax calculates, and the total. And if I save this quote, let's go back in. So now if we waited 10 minutes, this would automatically get updated. Let's do it a little quicker. So I'm going to pull up our web connector. I'm going to click Update, and let's let that work for a little while. So while that's working, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the advanced functionality in this integration, which is the mapping capability. So if I go into mapping down here, it brings up each of the syncs up at the top here. So we've got customers, invoices, inventory items, etc. And then beneath that, you can see all the fields available to sync between the two systems. So we have Sugar fields and QuickBook fields. And then there's a direction. And it tells you what's going where. So you can see the email field in QuickBooks is going to email 1 in Sugar. Makes sense, right? The cool thing about this is if you add a custom field in QuickBooks and a custom field in Sugar, you can map them to each other. And mapping a new field is as simple as going down the drop-down list here and saying, oh, you know, I want year-to-date sales here to go to year-to-date sales here. Click Add, and it's done. And there you go. If you want it to go away, you just click the X and it goes away. And that's how mapping works. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to be a programmer to do this. You know, it's very straightforward. And certainly you can have your technical resource do this for you, but it is a straightforward thing to, if you create custom fields, you don't have to call us to do some custom programming for it. You don't have to do anything. You just go to this and immediately set it up, and then the next time it syncs, there you go. So let's go back to our quotes, if we could. Oh, and here's our Christy Abercrombie quote that we just entered in, if you recall. And look, in the description here, it now says QuickBooks sales order 7013. That means it made it into QuickBooks. So if I go back into QuickBooks, and let's go find a sales order. Let's find sales order 7013. Up here it is. It tells you also it's Sugar quote number 20, which is cool. And here we go. And so it's got our line items, it's got our name and address, PO number 98765A came through, the sales tax came through in total. So you'll notice this happened almost instantaneously. It immediately gets rid of all the double work. You enter an order into Sugar and immediately goes into QuickBooks. And we are really excited about this integration. We think it takes these two packages and merges them together in a really simple, easy way. And so if you have questions, feedback, want a personalized demo, here's some contact information for you. You can contact me, David Fay, or Jake Budekoffer at our company. Here's our phone number, 818-227-5130. Or email us, get in touch with us in any way that you want, because we're here and ready to go. Thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to talking to you soon.